dancing gives me joy. And I don't tell a lot of people that because mostly I never want to be seen. I am so gangly, but I do love it. And I do know that when I exert it and when my children see it also, they know, hey, this is joyful. This is so joyful. Hello and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we have encouraging conversations to help you joyfully harmonize your home and work life. I'm your host, Rebecca Scott. I'm a wife, mother, designer, coach, and author. I'm here to help encourage and empower you to confidently make decisions that work for you and your stage of life, whatever that might be. Ready to bring more organization and joy into your life? The Encourager Academy helps you harmonize your home and work life through our online course and coaching programs. Our 5-system approach, me, food, family, work, and home, tackles your biggest obstacles, offering lifetime access to video lessons and guided worksheets. Learn at your own pace with practical tools and strategies. Enroll now at encourageracademy.com and use code WeGotThis for $50 off. Hello, encouragers. On this week's podcast, I wanted to talk to you about how I personally pursue joy. Now, these are the practices that I use, but I know you can take away maybe 2 or 3 of them that you can start doing in your own life to start implementing more joy. Joy is such a deep-seated feeling. It goes beyond just temporary happiness, and it goes to like a spiritual level of joy. At the end of the day, I am joyful because I know whose I am. And I know all the plans he has in store for me. I don't know him, but he knows them. But I have a deep-seated hope and joy for what he sees as possible in my life. And I get asked this question very frequently is, well, how come you are so joyful? And so I had to sit with it and think about it. And then, of course, I had to apply the most practical things because I wanted to be able to tell you, here are some practical things that you can do to pursue joy. And there are 5 of them. Again, my goal is for you to be able to take away 2 or 3 of them that you can start implementing immediately. So just listen in and decide like which one of these could I start doing immediately after listening to this podcast that will allow me to have more joy in my everyday life. Number 1 is this phrase that's written in my affirmations that I read about probably 4 to 5 days a week. And it is, joy is my birthright. I think it's so like bossy. And I think that's why I like it. Joy is my birthright. And just by reading that, I've only started doing this just this year in 2024. And reading that just makes me like put my shoulders back. I'm like, yeah, darn straight it is. Joy is my birthright. I am going to be joyful because I know what Jesus has done for me. And I also know that he's given me things that will give me joy throughout the day. So joy is my birthright. I just want you to repeat that to yourself. Maybe you write it on your affirmation sheet that you read in the morning. Maybe you put it on a little sticky note and you put it on your mirror, or maybe you put it on your refrigerator. But joy is my birthright. Number 2 is gratitude. And you know how I feel about gratitude. And then as many times as possible, listing what you are grateful for. Sometimes that looks like a journal for some of you. Sometimes that just looks like quarterly. You write down the things that you're grateful for. I am a daily grateful person because when I started the practice of daily saying to God how grateful I am for the things, you start recognizing those things as also the things that bring you joy. And so I think having an attitude of gratitude is very, very important. But I also like this phrase paired with the word gratitude. It is a practice, not an attitude. You have to practice it to start implementing it. So here are some practical ways that I practice gratitude is I have to list 5 things before I get out of bed. Like my alarm clock goes off. And even while my eyes are yet closed, I'm like, oh, I need 5 things before I can put my feet on the ground. And I've just practiced this for, oh my goodness, probably going on 7 years. The second thing I do is I do 5 things before I fall asleep. 5 is a really good number just to know. So before I fall asleep, after I say my prayer, whether it's by myself or with Nicholas, then I list 5 things that I'm super grateful for within that day. Then I do 5 things before I allow myself to turn the radio on or a podcast or an audiobook. That is such a quick thing, and I do that frequently. So I don't drive as frequently as I click a podcast on. So I'm like, okay, 5 things that I'm grateful for before I start this podcast. It just keeps me in that zone of gratitude. And then I also I start every prayer and I almost always finish every prayer with gratitude. That's the first thing. It's like, dear God, thank you so much for, and then you're listening it there. And then before you end the prayer, it's like, and thank you again for. whatever that is. So that's just a really practical way that I practice gratitude in my everyday. I would love to hear what you guys are doing to keep practicing it every day. Yes, it is an attitude. It's a state of mind. But more often than not, I want it to be a practice in the way that you do this, just super practical ways of things that you do in your everyday. So maybe it's every time you get yourself a glass of water, that's when you say it. Maybe it's before you exercise, you just spend 5 minutes talking about that your body is able. What would it look like for you to pair it with something that you do every day to also pair it with listing what you're grateful for? The third way that I pursue joy daily is by health and wellness. So you know that I talk frequently about our 5 systems. So this would kind of be like your me system. How are you taking a look at your me system? And does it need to be overhauled? Okay, so first of all, if you look good, you feel good. I know. Some of you are like, I am not in the stage of life to be able to do this, but you got to admit that when you are looking good, like you've put a little extra effort in how to get ready that day, you feel a little bit better about things. You're more likely to record the videos you need to. You're more likely to write like you want to show up to the meeting like you want to. So I do think that's an important part of how I do have so much joy is that I'm looking forward to looking good and showing up so that I also feel good. Laughing. This is part of my healthy journey. Seriously, laughing. So what does that look like? Well, I grew up with a very humorous family. And so I end up seeing the humor in a lot of things, a ton of things. And I'm recognizing it in some of my kiddos too. So I'm always looking for the funny in things. Sometimes obnoxiously looking for the funny in things. So it's probably also a coping mechanism, but it does help keep things light when you're looking for the humor in things. And I also try to follow people, whether it's on Instagram or on Facebook. I try to follow people that make me laugh in an appropriate way. You know, we're not talking about naughty humor or anything like that, but man, I love to laugh. So I find myself being drawn to people also that see humor. And I also like to follow people that will make me laugh on social media as well. And it's just one of those everyday practices with the kiddos too, as you're driving home. It's like, can you see the funny around you? Can you ask them, was anything funny today? And we're talking down to joke books. If you need to get joke books for yourself, that's kind of I mean, I'm telling you, it is old school, but it works. Follow your favorite comedians, pull up your favorite GIFs, have your friend that is your humor friend. I bet if you sat with it for a little bit, you'd be like, yes, this friend of mine is so funny. And first of all, tell him or her that, because sometimes it's something that you work at. You know, sometimes it is something that they're like, you know what, I do work at being funny and being light and being approachable. So make sure you tell them also. But laugh, that should definitely be part of how you pursue joy, and it's definitely how I pursue joy. Okay, alongside the health and wellness, also sunshine. I need sunshine. And when I don't have sunshine, then I turn in a happy light. The happy light, I believe, is also listed on our Amazon affiliate list, but I need the sunshine. So even if it's in the dead of winter, I try to step outside wherever I can see the sun and put my face straight in it. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of scientific studies that can tell you all the things more than I could, but darn if that sunshine doesn't just make me more joyful when I can feel the rays on my face or on my shoulders. I love the sunshine, and it really helps me with my health as well as far as vitamin D is concerned, and it just makes me feel more joyful. Also, walking. So in the category of health and wellness, when I wrote down, I did it at the beginning of last year, that I would walk 3 times a week, no matter what, just around the farm, not exercise, just walking. And usually I take our 2 dogs with us, or they're outside anyways. That changed things for me. I did become more joyful, because guess what else I was doing when I was walking? Listing the things I'm grateful for. But that fresh air and just being in nature made me very joyful. So I definitely think you should get your walking shoes on, and don't make it too difficult. You know, I only picked 3 days a week. I usually got to 3 days a week. Sometimes I got more, sometimes I got less, but just pursuing the walking helped me to pursue more joy in my everyday. And then also exercise. Well, exercise, of course, is part of health and wellness. And you know how I feel about burpees. Burpees and Jesus all day long. I feel so much better when I have exercised. And we all know that. So if you're having a hard time getting in the mood of exercise, remind yourself of this phrase: it will feel good when I'm done. It will feel so good when I am done. So get out there, do whatever exercise is for you. There's so many cool kinds now that will strike a note for you that make you joyful. So pursue the types of exercise that like make you joyful. Some of them, yes, are going to be hard, but what if you did try dancing? What if that's the way you get into exercise? That would for sure make you more joyful. But yes, for me in particular, a way that I pursue joy is definitely with exercise. The fourth way that I pursue joy is definitely my Bible. When you know the truth, first of all, then you will know the lies. And sometimes the lies are in our own head of telling us how we should feel about a day or how we should feel weary or how we should feel stressed. But when I know the truth and I know what God tells me and I know what His Son has done, I have more joy. It also allows me to have more freedom because I know the truth of what He's trying to do for me. And it just allows me to pursue my day with more joy because I feel comfort of whose I am. I also have some practical things that I do when I am pursuing joy for my Bible time in particular. I love the worship app called Pause. It's by John Eldredge. It has scripture within it, but then it helps me to just set myself apart for the day and pursue just a quiet time with God. I love that. I love that app a lot. Also, the Bible Recap is a really wonderful podcast. It's only 7 to 8 minutes long, but it gives me a little bit of the background of the Bible story that I'm going to read that day. And so I just really like knowing more of the background, and it allows me to help keep my eyes on Jesus when I'm reading the Bible and learning more about Him. And the whole time I'm spending time in the Bible, I feel more relaxed, which allows me to feel more joyful. The fifth way I pursue joy is with simple pleasures. Now, you guys, these are particular for me. So you might be like, what? But I want to know for you, what is that for you? How do you pursue simple pleasures throughout the day to give you more joy? So a couple of examples of mine that are just really, really simple and a little bit embarrassing is my frother. I love my frother. That's the thing that frosts your milk to put on top of your tea or your coffee or your hot cocoa or whatever it is you like. I'm telling you, when I turn the frother on, I'm like, joy. It's the simple things. We also have a link to it in our Amazon affiliate page, my favorite one. But I highly encourage you guys, get a frother. It's the little things that give us simple pleasures that in the end give us big joy. Also, I love Pinterest. I have to set a timer. Pro tip, set a timer, right? Otherwise, like my goal in retirement is to get to the last page of Pinterest. I think there's a last page and I'm going to get to it in retirement. I think I am. It's just, I love it so much. So if I'm feeling a little blue or if I'm feeling a little low energy, I go on to Pinterest. I set a timer, otherwise I get lost in it. I set a timer and I go into Pinterest and it gives me this little boost of joy. Also dancing. Now, I do not want to dance in front of anyone. I want to dance when nobody can see me dancing, but just the release of energy and your limbs going all over the place, or maybe you're really awesome at it. So ignore that if you're really awesome at it. But dancing in my kitchen, dancing in my living room, dancing in my studio, dancing on the grass outside. Dancing gives me joy. And I don't tell a lot of people that because mostly I never want to be seen. I am so gangly, but I do love it. And I do know that when I exert it and when my children see it also, they know, hey, this is joyful. This is so joyful. And my sixth way of pursuing joy is definitely by giving. I know that you that are listening have had an opportunity where you were able to give anonymously and somehow it came back to you or you were able to see it happen, and what filled inside of you was unbelievable. So for me, since I was little, generosity is really important to me in giving. And when I give, I have so much joy for the scenario outside of myself, knowing full well that I was just able to be a tool for what God wanted to see happen. But when I give, whether it is the tiniest thing or large things or large donations, that giving thing really, really, really gives me back so much joy. And I love teaching my children about generosity and giving and telling them, like, watch the other person's face, watch their reaction, watch the trajectory of what that will change for their lives. Giving is a huge way that I pursue joy. Some practical ways too that I've been giving is obviously we do our tithe for the church, but sometimes our tithe per month looks a little bit different, especially in the summer months. I'm not sure why it lands like that, but in the summer months, we give our tithe money to maybe a family in need or maybe a neighbor in need. And the kids look for opportunities of like, you know what, they mentioned this and they can't do this because they don't have this. Then we look at asking the entire family, like, is this something we want to pursue this month in giving? And that's been really fun conversations to have. I also, for my brands, we never turn down a donation. We've been able to do that for many, many, many years. And that is because I know that when we give or when we donate, we will have more joy in return. And so it's a simple yes to every donation request we get, we give. There you have it. The 6 ways that I pursue joy. I hope that you can take away 2 or 3 of them, start implementing them immediately, and then ask yourself this question: how could I pursue joy in more areas of my life? How can I pursue joy in more areas of my life? Take away some of the ones that I just told you, or sit and think about it in your own journal. How can I pursue more joy? I don't want it to feel like a chore. That's why I gave you some of those practical options, but it is something that will give so much life to you when you think about the joyful things. Okay, everyone, go pursue joy. I want to see it all over your face. I want to see you participate in our Facebook and our Instagram community so that I can see all the joy that you are pursuing. Until next time, encouragers, we got this because he's got us. Thanks so much for tuning in. If the Encourager podcast has helped or encouraged you in any way, please subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star review. And then help us spread the message of encouragement and hope by sharing the podcast with others. Are you ready for clarity and purposeful progress without the overwhelm? Join the Clarity Blueprint membership community. Transform your life with like-minded women, taking small, meaningful steps twice a month. Access monthly calls, worksheets, videos, guest speakers, and a supportive community with a very affordable price. Say goodbye to chaos and hello to purposeful progress. Visit theencouragerpodcast.com and join today.
Hey there, it's Nicole Eunice, host of the How to Study the Bible podcast, where every single week we join together to encounter God through His Word. You can subscribe at lifeaudio.com.